First thing we need to do is get rid of the fraction. So we're going to multiply by 3 on both sides. So we have 3v equals pi r squared times height. Next, what we're going to do is divide by pi r squared. So our final answer is h equals 3v over pi r squared.
Two planes, which are 2,400 miles apart, are flying towards each other. Their speeds differ by 60 miles per hour, and they pass each other after 5 hours. Find their speeds. So you can begin to solve this by creating a chart that can model the distance, which equals rate times time. So we know that plane 1 and plane 2 have the distances have elapsed, and it's been 5 hours. So we can put 5 in the column for both. And the first plane, we don't know its speed, so it's x. But we do know that plane 2, the difference between the planes is 60 miles per hour. So we can do x plus 60. So multiplying that through, so it's 5x and 5x plus 60. And then we know that the distance that both of them have been through is 2,400 miles. So to help us understand this, we can draw a picture. So both of the planes have traveled 2,400 miles. This is plane 1, this is plane 2. They're heading towards each other. So the sum of their distances is equal to the 2,400. So we can create an equation. So 5x, which is plane 1, plus plane 2, which is 5x plus 60, is equal to 2,400 miles. Then we just go about solving this. So 5x plus 5x plus 300 equals 2,400. Subtract 300 on both sides and add these two. We have 10x equals 2,100. Divide by 10, divide by 10. And then we have x equals 210. So that means that one plane's speed is 210 miles per hour. Then we can determine the other plane's speed by doing 210 plus 60, which is plane 2. That's going to equal 270. So plane 1 is going at 210 miles per hour, and plane 2 is going at 270 miles per hour. How much water must be evaporated from 64 ounces of a 2% salt solution to make a 10% salt solution? So we're going to begin by finding out how many ounces of salt are in the solution. So we can do 64 ounces times the 2%, so 0.02, and that's going to equal 1.28 ounces of salt. If it has to be a 10% salt solution, then it should be 12.8 ounces because we're multiplying 10 times 1.28, which equals 12.8 ounces. So the water to be evaporated is going to be 64, which is ounces, minus the 12.8, which is going to equal 51.2 ounces. A boba tea company wants to add a new flavor of tea. How many quarts of T1 worth $8 a quart should be added to 20 quarts of T2 worth $4 a quart to get a mixture of T1 and T2, which will be $6 a quart? So to solve this, we're going to create a chart that can model what we're trying to solve for. So we have T1, T2, and then T3, which is going to be a combination of T1 and T2. So T1 is going to be X because we don't know how many quarts of tea we need of that. We know that T2, we have 20 quarts of that. And we know that T3 is going to be a combination of T1 plus T2. So we have X plus 20.
Then we have the cost of each quart. So T1 costs $8 a quart, T2 costs $4 a quart, and T3, we want it to cost $6 a quart. So we're just going to multiply through. So this is going to be 8x, 80, and 6x plus 20. Because we're trying to solve for T3 to be a combination of T1 and T2, we're going to create an equation that's going to be T1, which is 8x, plus 80, which is T2, and that's going to equal 6 parentheses x plus 20. And then from here, we're just going to solve. So we get 8x plus 80 equals 6x plus 120. We have to simplify. We're going to get 2x equals 40, divided by 2 on both sides. We're going to get that x equals 20 quarts. And that means we're going to need 20 quarts of tea to create the mixture of T1 plus T2. If one painter can paint a house in 6 hours and another paints one in 9 hours, how long will it take them working together? So the key to solving these job problems is to realize that the job is one whole job divided into multiple components that the people are doing at different rates. So one painter takes 6 hours to paint a house, so his rate is 1/6 of the house per hour. Another takes 9 hours to paint the house, so it's 1/9, which is 1/9 of the house per hour. We could assume they're working at the same time, so their amount of time is X hours. So we're going to set up a time over rate equation. So painter 1 works for X hours at 1/6 of the whole job per hour. So it's going to be X over 6. And to that, we can add the other painter, which is at X hours with 1/9 of the job per hour. So it's going to be X over 9. And that's going to equal their one whole job. Now let's go about solving this. So we're going to need to find a common denominator, which is going to be 54. So we have 6x plus 9x, and that's going to equal 1. Then we're going to go ahead and get rid of the denominator there. So we're going to get 6x plus 9x equals 54. That is 15x equals 54. Divide by 15 on both sides. And we have x equals 3.6. So that means that working together, the job is done in 3.6 hours. Let's make sure this is right, and let's check it to make sure that the painter's rates total to 1. So we have the 3.6 hours over the 6 hours from the first painter's job, and that's going to equal 0.6 of the hour. And then the other is going to be 3.6 over 9, which is just substituting it in for this. And that's going to equal 0.4, because 0.6 plus 0.4 is going to be 1.